Central Coast News right now.
Today, many badges worn with a black stripe. The law enforcement community is mourning the loss of two of their own. California Highway Patrol officers Brian Law and Juan Gonzalez were killed early this morning when their patrol car crashed just south of Fresno. These are the first CHP officers killed in the line of duty since 2012 and the first in Fresno in more than 40 years. I'm Jasmine Veal.
And I'm Mark Cota-Robles. The crash happened on around 6 a.m. on Highway 99. An investigation is still ongoing, but CHP says it appears the officers careened into a guardrail when they suddenly came upon a crash that they thought was on the other side of the road. Officer Law is survived by a wife and 3 children. Officer Gonzalez survived by his mother and sister. And as their families and colleagues try to come to terms with the loss tonight, it's another reminder of the risk law enforcement officers face every single day. Central Coast News reporter Ricardo Navarro spent some time on the road with CHP, joining us live from Salinas. And Ricardo, safety is a big part of CHP training, right?
Yeah, that's right, Mark and Jazz. But officers can't always predict what the other drivers are going to do. CHP says it's not unusual for other drivers not to slow down when they're supposed to, or to not even pull over when they see flashing lights. That's when it can get deadly. The highway is their office. Their jobs is to make the roads safer. And California Highway Patrol officers have one goal in mind.
Our safety is our primary priority. That's what we want to be able to go home to our families at the end of the day.
But it can get dangerous. On a ride along today with Officer Bradley Sadek, he pulled over drivers for speeding.
The motorist is required by state law to move over and slow down.
But just look at how many people actually did it. Not many.
Some people do, some people don't. It still hasn't quite got into many people's heads.
By law, you're supposed to.
Traffic will just continue as if nothing was going on. That almost like we're not there at all.
That was always in the back of their mind.
So if the worst were to go down and we were to be hit by a car, then there's almost no hope for us to survive that.
For this driver, Officer Sadek saw there wasn't enough room on the shoulder
to separate ourselves from traffic as much as we can.
That's why he stopped the car here.
It's a lot safer for us.
Today, a sobering reminder of how dangerous the roads can be for these officers. Officer Sadek wishes it didn't take a tragedy to drive the point home.
People shouldn't let the reason they become aware of it be news stories relating to it.
So again, it's the law when you see flashing lights or hear the sirens to pull over to the right and then make a stop. Now, we don't know if any of this contributed to today's fatal crash, but when drivers don't follow the law, Officer Sadek said that puts everyone at risk. Live in Salinas, Ricardo Navarro, your Central Coast News.
Ricardo, thanks. A Watsonville teen is recovering tonight after getting shot in the face. The 13-year-old boy was riding a skateboard in his yard on Friday when he was approached by several men. It happened on Lowhead Street in Watsonville. The victim was able to talk to police, but it gave them limited information because of his injury. Now, despite the severity of his wound, officers say that he is expected to survive and is very lucky.
He is going to need a prosthetic eye. The bullet did enter his left eye, shattered inside of his head and lodged throughout his body and in his spine. So the doctors felt that it was going to cause more damage to remove the small particles.
Well, officers say they are still looking for suspect information. Detectives believe the boy is not involved in gangs, but say that his brother might be. Meantime, friends and neighbors of the young victim say they are simply shocked by the shooting. Central Coast News reporter Cassandra Arsenault live right now in Watsonville. Cassie?
Well, Mark, it's a small neighborhood, only 11 houses on Lowhead Street in Watsonville, and neighbors say they heard the gunshot that took this young man's eye and was millimeters away from taking his life.
Living here like all my life, and nothing like that has ever happened. I'm like still in shock, and I can't believe it happened to him, you know.
16-year-old Christian Bravo used to say nothing too exciting happens around these parts, but Saturday night made him think differently.
we just heard a big pop.
That pop was the sound of a bullet hitting the face of a 13-year-old boy who was skateboarding down the street. The boy's older brother is in a gang, and what Christian saw next is nothing he chooses to speak about out of respect for the family. Neighbors say the blood that stains the cement is all that's left of the crime scene, but it leaves Christian wondering why this happened to his friend.
He's not a troublemaker or nothing, you know. He's not a gangster, and I know him. He was a good kid.
And now the image of something so violent is singed into the memory of kids like Christian, another group of young people scarred by the bad choices of someone else.
I'm more paranoid about it now. Like, when I see a car, an unknown car, I kind of get, like, kind of scared.
Watsonville police didn't say if they had any more leads today on the suspect. They also don't have any suspect descriptions at this time, but we'll keep you updated on that. In Watsonville, I'm Cassandra Arsenault, your Central Coast News.
Fast forward now, the victim had been to several Watsonville PAL events. Tonight at 6, Cassandra has more from the youth center and the efforts they make every day to keep these kids away from the gang lifestyle. Another young boy shot over the weekend, this time an 11-year-old in Salinas. He was standing in front of his home on Eagle Drive alongside his 19-year-old brother last night. Police say a Hispanic teenager walked up and fired one shot. The 19-year-old's back was grazed. The 11-year-old was shot through the arm. No word on a suspect.
Well, listen to this story. Deputies arrested a homeless man in Moss Landing after they found several pipe bombs in his RV along with a gun. Deputies noticed his RV parked on the side of the road with the wrong license plates attached. Well, inside they found Richard Eric Snyder, a convicted felon. He told them that the appropriate paperwork was actually in a lockbox. Well, when they opened it, the deputies discovered 5 pipe bombs and a revolver. The bomb squad was called out to safely remove the bombs. We'll check the clock. It's 5:05. Time now for Manhunt Monday.
Of course, we have teamed up with the local law enforcement agencies to help get their wanted suspects off the streets. And tonight, we focus in on Stephen Blankenship. Marina police say that Blankenship is wanted on several warrants for driving under the influence and for driving with a suspended license. If you see him, call Marina police. The phone number 831-384-7575.
And of course, to see more of these men and women featured on Manhunt Monday, just visit KIONrightnow.com. Click on the Manhunt Monday tab. You'll see that under the news tab.
And now to a quick Center for Investigative Action follow-up file on drug smuggling boats found off our coast. An abandoned Ponga boat was found on Saturday along with some weed. Lifeguards from the State Parks Department found the boat at Garapata State Beach. They also found several drums of gasoline and a 35-pound bale of marijuana left behind. Tonight at 6, Ricardo Navarro has more on how these smugglers are moving further north. A consumer alert, and this one involving 2 scams that you should be on the lookout for.
Well, first, residents in Hollister are reporting a phone scam. A man impersonating an officer warns the person on the other end that, well, they've missed jury duty. We want to show you a post, actually, from the Hollister Neighborhood Watch page. One victim named Karen says the man on that other end of the phone then orders a payment of $581 to avoid jail. Well, when she said she couldn't pay, he said that she would not only go to jail, but be abused there. Hollister Police Chief David Westrick says if you get a call like this, call police. In another scam, the Federal Trade Commission has seen a spike in the number of fake emails appearing to come from law-abiding funeral homes. Hackers send condolence emails to thousands of addresses. So if you open that fake funeral notification, viruses and spyware could get installed on your computer.
Another consumer alert this evening. We told you last week about a huge meat recall from a factory here in California. Nearly 9 million pounds of beef is said to be unsafe to eat. Now the USDA has released a list of the markets where the meat may have been sold. Markets from across the Central Coast are impacted, including Rio Market in Aptos, Casey's in Carmel Valley, Morris Chevron in Greenfield, Nash Road Mini Mart in Hollister, and several markets in Santa Cruz, Salinas, and Seaside. Several items are recalled, including beef heads, beef liver, beef tongue, and veal cuts. To see a full list of the stores, just visit KIONrightnow.com.
Well, on to another consumer alert here. Thieves are swindling undocumented workers out of the little money they have. Central Coast News reporter Michelle Polito has more details on this recent fraud.
Most of the immigrant community does not understand how the immigration system works.
And in her 20 years as an immigration lawyer, Ariadna Renteria says scammers target those who know the least amount of information.
People with really not really good intentions and with the intention of enriching themselves prey on our community's ignorance and fear.
The most recent scheme against undocumented workers starts with a simple phone call. The scammer claims to be an immigration officer and tries to get as much information from the caller.
The name, the alien registration number, their social security number, the address.
The scam doesn't end there.
This alleged officer calls requesting payment in exchange for halting or stopping deportation proceedings.
We tried to find out how many people on the Central Coast have fallen victim so far, but the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services office was closed today. But Ariadna says the immigration system wouldn't have an officer calling to get information or even some sort of payment from a person.
The federal government has an obligation to memorialize its actions on paper and track all the federal government's actions with a document.
Michelle Polito, your Central Coast News.
And you hear this warning time and time again from law enforcement to authorities, as the Immigration Department is even saying if a scammer calls you, say no thank you and just hang up. All right, let's go to Pacific Grove. Advisory notices are still up at Lovers Point. There was a reported sewage spill last week. Well, the water has been tested several times. While the beach is back open, some bacteria levels are still high, so those advisories are still in place to basically telling people not to go in the water. All right, time now for some positive local news. A new travel and leisure survey ranks Carmel as the third most romantic city in the world, right behind Paris and Venice.
And that makes it #1 on the list for the most romantic cities in the U.S.
It's like they say about Paris, there's two kinds of people in the world. People who've been to Carmel and those who haven't.
And this couple enjoying the sights there at Carmel Beach. Well, Stephanie Orma, who wrote the article about the most romantic places in the world, called Carmel a quaint seaside village with storybook cottages, sheep meadows, and rugged coastal views. Also mentioned wine tasting in nearby Carmel Valley, Pebble Beach's scenic 17-mile drive, and the redwood-laden road to Big Sur. Lots to enjoy, of course, and it was a nice day, at least yesterday. On her Facebook page, Gina says that she loves Carmel, calls it extremely romantic. She says that her partner's brother got married in a garden near the beach, and it was just beautiful.
Well, and I think Anna here, her comment, she has a good point. She says, hey, maybe being on this list will help our local economy. It definitely cannot hurt putting the name out there for the world to see. So please join the conversation. And your parents came to visit on this Valentine's Day weekend, Mark's parents, but it was jam-packed. So I think many of us locals can relate. We hated the traffic.
Lots of traffic, but there's the thing. It's so unique. 1 square mile fitting in all that, romantic touches. Pretty neat. Coming up here on Central Coast News, we're going to get to Norm Hoffman for the weather forecast. Also, how a Los Angeles construction company broke records over the weekend.
Plus, several cool stories that we cannot wait to tell you about still, including just how smart this 3-year-old girl is.
This is Central Coast News, now in high definition.